Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Let's talk air filtration. I want to thank everybody first off. On the last video I did, I was talking about who being ill, and I was not doing real well. It looks like we're both fully recovered. She was out gardening this morning, and she seems to be doing fine now. So I think we've finally gotten over it. But anyway, back to the air filtration. I have built several over the years. In fact, I still have 6 units that I have built. I don't need 6 units, but each one of them, one thing about each one of them is I used a different type of fan to build it than I did on all the others. So I've used 6 different types of fans. I've used a furnace fan, the big squirrel cage one that you get out of a house furnace. I've used a Stanley small squirrel cage fan. I think Stanley makes one. Lasco makes them. And I used one of those. I also made one, of course, using a 20 by 20 box fan. And I've made one using this one right here, and we'll talk about that in detail soon. But that one, I used a simple twin fan window fan, and I just box it in with the filters on the back side. And so all of these have their strengths and weaknesses. Well, she's doing something. As you can see, they're both right here. So quiet and behaving so far. Anyway, I've made all these different fans using different types of fans to do it because I really wanted to know. Most of them I actually have a past video on when I built it, like my 20 by 20 box fan, my Ryobi hybrid fan. I made a little mini one. This one right here, and the fan just sits down on there, blows air into the tube here, into the box, and then it has to come out all the filters when the fan is sitting here and turned on. This is a great little unit, and I'll explain why this is a great design for what you really need in a shop besides a regular unit. Now, don't get me wrong, you got to have a regular unit that runs all the time. It's best. That will help maintain a lower level of dust in the air consistently all day long. It helps. But you are going to create dust at different levels of concentrated dust doing different jobs. And most of the time, you're also going to contaminate a smaller area of that heavy dust in the air, airborne dust, in the area where you're actually creating it. And sometimes, like right now, if I'm here, my main unit is actually about 12 feet away from me. And so if I'm creating a small amount of dust here, but it's not really going everywhere, that's the dust I can still breathe. And that's why I like to use what I call a mobile AFU, air filtration unit. And that's what that little one does there with use the Ryobi fan, because I can set that little fella just about anywhere, even right down here on the floor. And then while I'm working here, that air will all have a tendency to go down and go into that unit to filter the air rather than me getting it in my face. So for years, what I would do is I had a box fan, and also I've done it with my Stanley Squirrel Cage fan. I've taken and had a box that I built for a 2020 filter. Yeah. Here she comes. There you go. Hopefully she'll go away now. But for years, I would use that. I would have my bench that I'm doing a whole lot of sanding that day, and I would put that on the end of the bench and turn it on so that the air was being pulled to the fan instead of coming toward me. So all that air dust in this area didn't have to get up into the air and go all over the shop until it finally got picked up by the regular air filtration unit. It was being picked up in the immediate area where I'm creating that dust. That is a much better way of doing it, besides doing the high velocity one. Now, as far as my main unit, we'll talk about these individual units and why they're different and what they do and can't do and all that. We'll talk about all that here in a moment. Let's talk about the main one that I do have, though. I did a video on that. That was in my workstation, my my LOM workstation series, my Legacy Ornamental Mill, because it's right above that. And that one has a video on me building that, over 2 or 3 videos, and how I did it. That one I really have learned to appreciate a lot. And the reason is that when I built that one, I decided to try doing it with a high velocity fan. That fan is a 20-inch fan, but it's the high velocity industrial fan that you can buy. It's a little more expensive than the box fan, but it really moves air in a hurry if you want it to. Excuse me. And I found that when I turned that on high speed with it, and I have a good filter on it, and it's built into a box sitting right above my LOM, and when I turn that on, it'll clean this whole room. If there's a lot of dust in here because I was doing something really messy, I might leave, go get a cup of coffee, turn that on high, and when I come back, it'll be pretty well cleaned out, because it'll draw that much that fast. But normally, low speed is all you want it on. I plug it into my lights, and when I turn the lights on in here, that comes on too, automatically. So I don't even have to think about it. And it does a fine job of keeping most of the airborne dust from settling on the shelves and things like that, or in my lungs. So it is good to have a main unit. Where you put that unit, we could argue all day the plus and minuses of that sort of thing, but to me, that's not near as important as having it, because you're still going to create dust somewhere else in the shop, and that sawdust, that dust, airborne dust, is going to move around the shop in the air currents. And yes, you do have air currents in your shop, and mostly they're created by any fans that you might have going. Right now, I have my my AFU unit, the main one. You can't hear it, but it's going all the time. I also have right now another one that sits on a fan, and that one is a Squirrel Cage Fan, the little Stanley one, the yellow and black. Anyway, it's a Squirrel Cage box that it's in, and that one I have set up on a filter that I can turn it around and shove the neck of it into the box, and then anything that the fan blows out has to go through the filter that's on the other side of that box. We'll talk about all these units as time goes on here, so if you get curious about one in particular. That one I believe I have a video on, though, but all my other units except for this first one are all what I call mobile, which is really what I really like. If you remember when I did the 20 by 20 box fan, that one is on a pedestal that I can turn upside down and put it in the cradle on the ceiling, so it hangs down from the ceiling, and I can still turn it, make it directional. And it hangs over there right by my table saws and my miter saw, which is a pretty good area for sawdust, for dust, airborne dust in the air being created. So if I'm doing something over there, I will turn that on for an hour or two while I'm working there, and after I've stopped for a while, because all that dust that gets in the air there takes a while for it to float over and go out that one, a lot of it. And that means that a lot of it may actually come over here. It won't all go straight from there to there. It may linger in the whole shop, and over time all drift over there. So it's a good idea to have a good mobile unit, at least one, that you can use in conjunction with the main unit. Yes. Hi there. She's pestering me right now. So, but you do want a good central unit if you can put somewhere, but you can build that out of anything. You don't have to use the high velocity fan. For years, all I used for a long time was just a 20 by 20 box fan with a filter on it, and that thing will put out between 1100 and 2500 CFMs. A normal 20-inch box fan, that's what they normally put out in CFMs. That's more CFMs than most of these units that you can buy on the open market that are commercial units, and the price of them, whew. Anyway, box fan is a lot cheaper in the long run. But there are some ideas about when you build them. I like to make them mobile. I have to think twice about it before I would build one that was going to become the stationary one, and make sure that I do follow a couple of simple rules so that it will do what I want it to do without having to be moved. But all these others, I can take them down and move them closer to where I want to work if I deem it necessary. So that's what I like about them. They do it. They can help supplement that, and I can also place them anywhere near where I'm actually working if I need to help me from having to breathe more of that airborne dust that's being created right at the point of where I'm creating it, rather than waiting to get it out of here and having to go over to my normal dust collector. So I do believe in that sort of thing. So if you're going to build your own, there's two basic ways you can build it, not counting the different types of fans. And I'll show you all my different ones here, probably in the next episode, because we're already at 10 minutes. But if you're going to create one, there's two ways you can make it. Either you're going to have the air passing through the air filter, through the fan, and out into the room. Or you can put it to where the air is being sucked into the filter and through the fan and out into the room. And those are two distinctive ways you can do it. Now, I do like that, and I usually only do it on the ones that had the filter on the suction side of the fan. When it is, I also like to put what I call a pre-filter on that. I put these in front of the regular filters. I have all these filters in here. There's 5 of them. But I also put in these simple little panels that overlap each other. And this is just that pre-filter stuff. You can see my hand through it. But this collects a lot of the big dust that doesn't get to the filter then. And it makes that filter, no, you have one right there. Go on, go lay down. Go on, go lie down. She's bothering me. So, but that pre-filter is actually a very handy thing. And you'll see as I go through and show you these different ones, you'll see that most of them, on the ones where the air is filtered and then it goes through the fan, those almost always, they should have a pre-filter on them. The ones that have to blow through the fan first and out, those normally do not have that pre-filter, except for this little one I just showed you, because obviously that filter is after the fan. That's blowing the air into the, but that's such a small area, I think they will still be effective, the pre-filter. So pre-filter is an option. If you can use it, believe me when I say it will make those air filters last a lot longer. And you can clean that out from time to time and keep going, as opposed to when a filter clogs, you're done. You have to replace it usually, because you can't even really clean it out by blowing it out particularly. So the type of filter you use, that would be up to you. You can argue till you're blue in the face. I'm not as sold on some of this as some people are. Some people say, 10 micron, 5 micron. Oh, no, 1 micron. You got to go 1 micron. Oh, no, you got to go negative micron, whatever that is. So I think they get carried away. My main unit does have a 1 micron filter on it, big 4-inch wide. And it's 16 by 32 or something like that. I don't remember the exact size. But that one filters the air normally all the way down. But on my mobile ones, I do like to take those and use the 5 micron. They last longer, and by using a pre-filter, they'll last a lot longer. And that'll get a lot of the initial air, because I use those right at the point where I am creating the airborne dust. When you create that dust, it lingers and goes all over the room. It doesn't go straight from here to the filter over there. The air currents in here will kind of make it float all over the place, and eventually it gets sucked up in that fan. The stronger the fan current, the faster they'll all drift that way. But if you really want to keep your air clean where you're breathing, because if I'm sitting here making the sawdust, that dust, airborne dust, right here, I'll be breathing it long before it goes over there. So that's why I like to have a smaller unit that's portable, mobile, so I can set it close to where my working environment is, so that all that airborne dust in this area will get sucked up by that one, and then whatever is left will linger over that way, and very little of it will get to me to breathe in instead that way. So when you plan your system, plan on having at least one mobile unit, something that you can move around and set close to wherever it is that you're actually creating any airborne dust. So I talked about the pre-filters. I talked about mobile units. You can take, I've made 6 different units, and I'll show them all to you. But of those 6, not a single one of them is like another one. I use different fans on all of them. One has a furnace fan, a squirrel cage furnace motor, a real big one. And then I have one that's a small squirrel cage fan. It's a Stanley. What's that number? If you're that curious. It's a Stanley 655702. And that one, they don't even make it anymore. I've had that thing for a long time. But I also, most of my smaller mobile units, they are what I call double duty. I can open it up so the filter isn't being used, so then it's just a fan. In fact, right now, my Stanley, I keep it right above my bandsaw over here. And instead of that thing pointing into its filter, I have it pulled out and pointing here because it's warm, a little warmer here than sometimes, that it was comfortable to have a fan blowing on me. So that one I'm using as a fan as well as an AFU. So most of mine, you can do that with them. They can be done either used as a fan or as an air filtration. So, excuse me. So I'll get into all of these and show you each one individually. Some of them I actually have videos on. So if you are curious about one in particular, I'll try to make sure I have a link to any of those that I can find in my past videos, because most of these I have done videos on at one time or another. So, hey, no barking. They're about to go crazy. They went up to the window. Anyway, so if you have any questions about any of this, or if you want to make your own unit, keep in mind what exactly it is that you want to do. And I do recommend making yourself a good full-time unit that would run all the time. Also, make yourself 1 or 2 mobile units that you can set up somewhere else, so that if you want to collect the air, the dust, further away from where your main unit is, it will help keep the quality of the air in the whole room lower than it would otherwise. So I think that's about everything I've thought of up to now. I do want to get into how I built these as we go along. And so on my next video, I'm going to show you some of these different units and how I built them, what to watch out for, what to do and not do, and that sort of thing. We'll try to go over some of that. So if you have any questions about any of them, about how I built the one using a particular type of fan, like using the Squirrel Cage fan or a twin window fan here. That one is from a twin window fan. So I tried making one in lots of different types of fans so that I could see how they all work. And quite frankly, I think that in all reality, a fan is a fan is a fan. So, and it's just a matter of how good a filter you put on it and how tightly you seal it is really, and then what size fan. How many CFMs can that thing put out? So those are things you want to kind of consider. They don't all have to be a super CFM either, because one of mine is that little Ryobi fan. It's a battery and it's a hybrid, and that thing, the CFMs on that, I think is only about 300. But then I don't expect it to do the whole room either. I just want to set that real close to where I'm at, so in this general little area right here, the air is all going through that filter instead of coming in and me breathing it in. So anyway, I think that's about it. If you have any questions about any of this, let me look at my notes. I want to make sure I didn't forget something, so I can't help but feel that I did. Well, if I did, we'll talk about it on the next one. Leave your questions, your thoughts, your comments. If you're particularly interested in a particular one, how I use a particular fan, let me know, and I'll try to make sure I highlight that one for you guys if that's what you want. But on the next one, we'll get into details of how I built a couple of these, like this one. And I'll leave you links to the other ones that I've already got videos on, so you can go look at those if you want. And then you should have lots of good ideas of how to make your own AFU when you get done, because it is definitely a lot cheaper than buying one. So leave your comments. If you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. Lets me know that I'm doing something right. Most importantly though, please come back again, because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you guys all very soon again. Bye.